how much do straight A's really matter? What about school rankings and test scores? A new book argues that these methods don't provide an accurate picture of how kids are doing in school.
It's called Off the Mark: How Grades, Ratings, and Rankings Determine Learning, but Don't Have to. Authors Jack Schneider and Ethan Hutt join us. Thank you for being with us.
Good morning.
Good to be here.
You know, we've had kids going through this, taking this standardized tests and going to college recently. It's interesting that you say, even though they're, eliminating these test scores as a barometer to measure students against each other, now they're just measuring kids against each other based on grades. So they're kind of still comparing, just using something else. So it didn't really do anything, right?
Yeah, well, one of the things that we argue in the book is that that is by design, that one of the things that we seek to do through the use of these assessment technologies, and they really are technologies. We have to think of them that way. So grades are a technology, not a very good one, but we're trying to motivate students here, and students respond pretty rationally to this. And so we now have a system in which even more weight is placed on grades. And so students who see themselves as succeeding in the system are going to be even more stressed out about trying to get the grades they think they need in order to get into a selective college or university. And students who feel like they aren't going to get those grades are going to be even more disengaged because they'll be sent this message that they're not on that path.
And how is this all affecting what they're learning to be prepared for the real world, or at least for college?
Yeah, so one of the big problems with grades and tests is that doing well in a class, getting an A, doesn't always reflect the amount of learning you've done. Often it reflects whether you showed up, whether you turned things in on time, or whether you bugged your teacher just a little bit to get you that extra point that changed your grade from a B+ to an A-. So part of what we argue is that we need to better align our assessment technologies, our grades, our tests to actual learning, and make sure that there's a tighter link there, or else, like I think we've all done at one point, you can game the system a little bit, and it's also a very rational approach. Students know that what matters is that grade or that score, and not necessarily all the things that they've learned.
Well, that's what you guys talk about. You'd like to see transcripts having a clickable area where you can expand on what the grade is. Talk about that.
Sure. There are a number of things that we could do if we were serious about trying to put student learning at the heart of assessment. So one of them would be to make transcripts double clickable, right? Transcripts as they currently exist have fewer characters than a Twitter post or whatever Twitter is called these days. And that is a reflection of the fact that transcripts were created over a century ago. But times have changed, and we could, for instance, have digital transcripts that allowed us to double click in order to see examples of student work. Now, what would this do? This would send the message to students that the work you actually do in school matters, that people are going to be looking at the kinds of assignments that you do, and that it isn't just about that end product, a letter grade or a test score that really is very thin informationally speaking. Now, this would provide better information to colleges and universities or employers, families. But again, for us, this is really about sending the message to young people that learning matters, because we're sending the opposite message with a lot of our assessment technologies.
Yeah, and on that note, I'm wondering, one thing that I don't think has changed from when we went to high school and our kids are in high school is that unless you're going to Harvard Medical School or Yale Law School, nobody really cares where you went to school or what your grades are. Would you say that that's an accurate depiction?
I mean, it's certainly more competitive each year in college admissions. And so students feel that pressure and they really want to do as well as they can. As you're suggesting, there are many stages to school. So, your high school grades are replaced by your college grades, are replaced by your, graduate school grades. And so oftentimes, and this is where we're trying to make space for students to really focus on learning rather than the grade, is we can displace the grades even more so that they aren't the be all end all, and it doesn't just become what grade did I get as opposed to what skills did I develop, what interests did I foster, and what did I actually learn in a class.
And I guess this means that extracurricular activities and that mean a lot more to get into schools too, or does it not?
Well, it all depends. So if we're talking about highly selective colleges and universities, we're talking about a tiny percentage of American students here who are doing whatever they can to gain an admissions advantage. And yes, things like out of school activities matter a lot. And there's an equity component here, right? And one of the things that we talk about in the book is that the assessment technologies that we currently rely on are highly inequitable because they don't always really reflect learning. They often reflect the kinds of headwinds that students face or tailwinds that they have behind them. And one really problematic aspect is that whatever your score is at a particular moment in time becomes fixed. And we know that if we live in an unequal society, and I think most of us can agree that we do, that some students will be more ready at a particular moment in time to succeed on an assessment. Well, that is kind of bonkers because once upon a time, I didn't know how to ride a bike. And if I had to carry around a transcript that suggested that I still don't know how to ride a bike, right, that would be a real problem.
That's true.
And so another thing
Yeah.
that we can do is that we can make grades overwritable, right? This is another thing that technology allows us to do is that you have the skill now, show it to us. All right, we can update that transcript.
Got it. Well, for more information, you can check out offthemarkbook.com, and you can follow Jack and Ethan on X. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.